about your history with the Ansonia.
Yeah, there's a moment, it happens in book 2, where Artemis pulls up in a car with an FBI escort right here on the street, on 73rd Street, south side of the Ansonia, just off of Broadway, gets out of the car, and he has a moment. He looks up this giant facade filled with terracotta decorations, and he used to live here once, and he's coming back, and it's been a mess. So my entrance to this building was actually very similar, because when I knew this building, when we were young actors in town, this was a place you might come if you didn't value your life, because there was drug deals being done in the hallways. This building was condemned. This building was going to be torn down. And thanks to efforts of Upper West Side politicians and citizens, they fought it, and they got the building turned into a landmark. And now it still exists on account of that. So that's where I began with this. I bought a couple of apartments and put them back together in their original 1903 configuration.
Wow.
Which is what's described in the book. The apartment 1818 is actually fictional because I don't want to be sued. But I can tell you that we were up there somewhere towards the top, looking out south and west, so you can see a bit of the Hudson River over to the west. And if you look this way, towards Broadway, you can see a little bit of Verdi Park. And down south, a great deal of the way, all the way down to what was then the World Trade Center, which was quite a memory also, from the top of this building. Aren't those faces incredible? They're all terracotta, and they're protectors. And there's another bunch of them way up there, if I don't get vertigo and fall over looking this far up.
Yeah, wow.
And they're also protectors, those gargoyle faces. And they show up in the book as well, because Lucille, who lives up in this building, looks out across the street, 18 stories up, and sees them and reacts to them as such.
And how many stories is the Ansonia, do you know?
It's actually 17 stories.
17 stories.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's built in 1903. It was the premier luxury building of its moment. It had to do with the connection to the new subway station, so they thought this would be a great place to live. People who were living in brownstones all over this area could no longer needed their service staff. They moved into here where there was a restaurant and staff, and it was a great success for a time. Mm-hmm. And then it stopped being a great success. So,
what year did you first come to New York City?
Well, my dad was an actor, my mother was an actor, and we lived out in Jersey, and he came in and out of the city all the time to go to work, so I'd come with him. So when I was very young, I'd be coming in, but I moved into the city 40 years ago. I was 24, and somehow we're still in and out of the city, though now we're up in Vermont now, so it's really great to come back. I feel like a tourist, but it's good.
When I think of Artemis, because he's the protagonist, I think of you, and so I always think that you're kind of looking through his eyes, so I guess you're looking through all the characters' eyes.
I find I have a great identification with Lucille because she's like the person most reactive to New York, the loud sounds and such. So I really do notice, right now it's quiet here on the street, but if something noisy happens, I flinch a little. Artemis is a germaphobe. I'm not. I'm kind of neat, but I like things clean. But his is excessive, and he's working in the time of COVID, which was the challenge of that. But I do think I relate to a lot of the characters. I really like Silas. Starts out at the story age 13 and is kind of a computery, nerdy little fella. And I get that. I understand that one a lot too. So I think it's all in here. The Ansonia was their first home before the story started, and they moved away. They get out to Jersey. And because of the happenstance of the story, for security, they actually moved back here to the first home. And that made some sense to me. I thought, yeah, it's stable, it's beautiful, and it has a real history.
So let's take a look inside, and we'll look at that amazing lobby.
I'm right behind you.